to Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! They win it! James catches, puts up the three. Won't go. Rebound Bosch. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Tie game with 5 seconds remaining. Iguodala to Curry. Back to Iguodala. Up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection. Portland have 3 timeouts left. The Lakers have 2. Bryant to shot. A chance to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long range three.
Happy Monday, everybody! Oh my God, my phone is just not wanting to cooperate with me there as we get this started. But we are live. It is this week's edition of 48 Minutes Basketball Network. I am joined by Sean and Josh. We're excited to be here. But guys, let's just get right into it. No one cares about introductions today. We have a trade. Trade season has begun.
Finally, my favorite time.
The Lakers and Wizards make a trade for Rui Hachamura for the Lakers. In return, they send Kendrick Nunn, who was literally unplayable for a long time, and 3 second-round picks, being the 2023 pick, the Lakers one that was Chicago's second-round pick, I believe 2027, which is the Lakers pick, and 2028 being the worst between the two as far as second rounders between Los Angeles and Washington. So, guys, I want to jump into this just plain and simple from the beginning here. We knew Washington was incompetent as a franchise. This is a Lakers team that was literally desperate. And they were like, we'll give you this for a guy that can't play in draft picks that won't matter in 4 years. I mean, the Lakers were like, a couple weeks ago, there was reports that they were like, oh, we could get Cam Reddish. He could be a part of our team. And they got Rui Hachimura, who is a serviceable basketball player. Name sexy? No, not at all. But a good basketball player, a guy who has in the past shot over 40% from 3, had a really weird role with the Wizards so far this year. I hate to give it to Rob Pelinka for fleecing, but not that it's difficult to fleece the Wizards because of who the Wizards are. But the Lakers actually made out on a trade for once.
They did, and they got somebody who's serviceable. I mean, this guy dropped 30 points on Orlando the other day. When I say drop 30 points on Orlando's a good team now. So, I respect Orlando.
Yeah.
But this is a good deal. They basically got something for nothing. I mean, second round draft picks can become something, obviously, but Kendrick Nunn had become completely unplayable, like you said, Tim. I think this is great. They're going to have a rotation guy, and I imagine he goes right into the starting lineup. Are we taking him off the bench?
Today it was reported that the game plan is they're going to start him at the 4.
Okay.
Even when Davis comes back. But that's interesting because Thomas Bryant has been tremendous.
Well, yeah, but Thomas Bryant has been a backup. He knows that role. So I think you bring Rui on here and you play him, see what he can do. He can kind of fill this kind of weird Kyle Kuzma role that's been missing since he left. I know that sounds weird, but kind of like that 4th, 5th scorer on this team. They didn't have to give up Russell Westbrook, although it would have been really funny if he went back out to Washington. I'm not even going to lie about that. That would have been hilarious. But this isn't that sexy of a trade, but it's going to get him a player who's going to occasionally be able to drop, 15 to 20 points on you. He's long.
They just needed size here. That's all they needed.
He's
6'8".
He's long. He's raw. He's serviceable. So I think this was a great trade for the Lakers. I think they needed to make a move. I don't know if this is the move that LeBron maybe had in mind, but they've painted themselves into a corner. So this might be the final move before the trade deadline, and I'm cool with it. I don't know why I'm assuming the Wizards just wanted to get rid of him so they could dedicate all of their attention to re-signing Kuzma and giving him a bigger deal later. I don't know. The Wizards are weird. They've always been weird. Stay weird.
Stay weird.
So my question to you gentlemen is the Lakers are in championship or bust mode. And
I mean, Rui did play in a Final Four, guys. Come on.
so I'm going to ask you, as I sent you all a text message over, as the odds were being placed on the Lakers to win the championship. After this trade was made, or said before the trade was made, the Lakers were plus 4,800 to win a championship. After the trade was made, the Lakers were plus 4,800 to win a championship. So my question is how much does this trade actually really help them to get to their quote unquote goal of winning a championship?
I would say they're a step closer, but like, you know, in the same sense of like, I'm a step closer to like being a world famous actor. You know what I mean? Like, look, if you look at the standings, they're 2 games out of the 6th spot right now behind the Clippers. And they're not even in the play-in right now. So that's, you know, this is something that can really give them that leg up.
But what are the chances? Because, you know, the noise is Anthony Davis may be back sooner than later, right?
Huge.
There's probably, I don't know, some teams have 35 games left, 37, 38 games left. In those 30 something games, how many of them do LeBron and AD make it through before one of them get hurt?
Well, first off, calm it down now. We don't want to wish any injuries on anybody.
I'm not wishing injuries. I'm just going with facts of what I know up to this point of what has been the dynamic of those two together.
But the good thing is
he
that
just
finally
a big bucket of cold water.
I know.
Here you guys go.
Jesus. Gosh. I mean,
the fact that we even had to open with the Lakers is just
I know. I've been trying so hard. And I've done so well for the most part, but like they've actually played well the last 2 weeks. Well, it's like son of a bitch.
This was a somewhat relevant trade. We haven't really had any big trades this year, and I would say this is a big trade, but it is. I don't
know we've had any trades yet this year.
None.
I think this is it. It's been way too trade quiet the last couple years. It's been downright boring. This is why no one's paying attention anymore. Like I feel like the last time there was like a huge trade that like everyone cared about was Anthony Davis. And like it was gigantic, you know, and like
we still got a couple weeks. We still have a couple weeks.
Let's go, Chicago. Let's dump everybody.
We got a segment later. We got a segment later for trade discussion.
Oh, okay, all right, let's go.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, do I think that now I've like would put them in like the top 4 of the West because of this one move? No, but. Do I think they can make the playoffs with how things are going? Yeah. And, you know, you make the point, like, what if LeBron or AD gets hurt? At least now, for the first time, it's like, that's not all they have. Or, you know, Thomas Bryant's been pretty good. Rui Hachimura has been pretty good. Lonnie Walker's going to be back pretty soon for them, who's been, like, ridiculously good for them for some reason or another. We talked about my guy, Austin Reeves, Hillbilly Kobe. He's played well.
Hillbilly.
Shockingly, you know, we make fun of Russell Westbrook a lot. He's been pretty decent in this role that he's got to take it on.
He might.
Hey, I'm going on record. I'm going on record that I've not really said anything negative about Russell Westbrook on the show almost ever.
Yeah,
I don't have much negative to say about him.
Yeah, I'd say especially right now, like he's taken this role and played well. But I think, you know, they're not close to Denver. They're not close to, you know, Memphis, New Orleans. I know New Orleans is on a losing streak right now, but maybe,
they did beat Memphis a couple of nights ago.
They did. And it was like a lot of Memphis, you know, Shannon Sharp probably got the Lakers to win that night. So
yeah.
But yeah, man, I think it's a good move for them. As far as the Wizards end, like I'm guessing that they were like, you know, So I guess Jake Fisher reported the offer on Friday was Kendrick Nunn and 2 second rounders. And they said, well, if we're going to get rid of Rui Hachamura, who we took in the lottery, we want first round value. And the Lakers said, okay, 3 second rounders, deal.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, they're giving up on him and they're getting some draft stock for later on. You know, you never know what a second round pick's going to come into. It could
The Wizards could have waited
huge.
2 more weeks and gotten something way bigger for Rui Hachamura.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I didn't say they couldn't, but it's, I give this trade like a B- for LA or maybe a B+.
I think it's a B+ for the Lakers.
Okay, you give it a B+. I'm gonna give it a D for the Wizards because I have no idea what they were doing. They could have just waited. Like they could have sat on their hands for a couple of weeks, and someone could have been like, even like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a team like the Hornets could come out and be like, you know what? Here's this, and maybe what they had would have been better. You're completely right though. They could have got something bigger for that.
Yeah, I think like Rui could probably help a few teams. And I know he just, the reports are he wasn't happy this year in Washington. And a lot of people are like, well, he can't play defense. It's like, name the last guy for the Wizards that could play defense. I will sit here all night.
Wes Unseld?
Yeah. Jerry Stackhouse, maybe.
Maybe Jerry Stackhouse. Yeah.
That's certainly not Bradley Beal,
No.
But this is good, man. This is good stuff for them. I'm curious to see what they do next. I assume they're going to try. Notice I say try to find somewhere for Pat Beverly and Damian Jones. Can they make a move for them? I doubt it, but that's probably step 2 is getting a shooter they can get there. Again, I just want to reiterate the Lakers were literally talking to the Knicks about getting Cam Reddish, who doesn't even play basketball, and they got Rui Hachamura. Because the Wizards were like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Well, I'd rather have Rui Hachimura than Cam.
Absolutely,
Reddish.
you would. Absolutely, you would.
I think we all would.
And the Wizards were like, sure, you can get this bum, but we'll give you a decent role player.
If Tibbs is like, this guy can't play, then I trust his judgment on that. If he's like, no, this guy's a bum, we're not even going to play him, we're better off without him, then you're done. Like,
Bye.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that for the coming weeks. This isn't a huge topic episode because there wasn't a whole lot of things that happened in the NBA this past week besides, Shannon Sharp fighting Brandon Clark or Dylan Brooks, sorry.
Dylan Brooks.
But someone did try to burn the world down with a podcast this week, and that someone is John Wall.
Yeah, my Lord, man. What was going on here?
I got clips.
I'm excited to hear those because I've seen blips of this. I didn't pay too much attention. So, Tim, give us a rundown. What happened here?
So John Wall has just basically talked about his whole career and said that he didn't go to North Carolina because Tyler Hansbrough did not shake his hand. There are so many contradicting reports to that, including him getting in trouble his senior year of high school and North Carolina withdrawing their offer. I'm not saying that happened. I said reports. He talked about his time with Washington and how good they were. He talked about like how the Celtics series was the best series of his career. They lost. By the way, he was like, the biggest shot I ever hit in my career was in a series that I lost in 7 games because Boston showed up wearing black saying they were at a funeral. And then he said this about how he feels like the Wizards team would have matched up against that year's Cleveland Cavaliers.
What was the best team that had a chance?
In DC?
Yeah.
That 16, 17?
That year?
We was going to beat the shit out of Bron. I'm telling you, if you do an interview with anybody from the cast, there was one team they did not want to see on the East.
Which y'all?
They did not want to see us. Me and Kyrie, we matching up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking Brad over JR.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got Bron over Trevor Reeves. I'm taking, you know who.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Love and Marquise Morris. I'm taking Kevin Love, but Marquise Morris can shoot threes and post up.
Yeah.
I'm taking Gortat over Tristan Thompson.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
They're the same player.
And our bench was deeper than theirs. We had Bogey.
Theo Pinson said Gortat and Tristan Thompson were the same player.
Oh my God.
Hold on. Did I?
Kelly Oubre.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Kelly was playing well that year, too.
He was.
balling.
That's when he was coming to himself.
Yeah, so I'm like, then you look at every game he played that year, it was always a 1-2 point game. They
Mhm.
broke out 18 games.
He said Kelly Oubre was one of the reasons the Wizards were going to beat the Cavaliers that year, guys. Can we just reiterate that statement?
Yeah, there's no way. There's absolutely
Sean,
no way.
there is more.
Oh,
there
there's
is more.
Much more.
Home game winning streak when
What
Bron
he-
hit that
he
bank
said-
fucking shot.
In the
Shit was
corner.
Bitch,
crazy.
talking about I work on this shit every day.
Yeah.
I told him that shit was luck. He said, ain't no luck. I work on that shit every day.
Yeah.
Man, get the
I'm like,
out
you
of here.
baked it, Brian. What are you talking
That
about?
shit was
But yeah, that was
crazy.
like, I feel like that year, and then the year I broke my hand against the Hawks,
Mhm.
we was going to play the Cavs again.
What was your
So, I will start this by I'm all for a guy having confidence, and I appreciate John Wall's swagger here. But how many years when LeBron was in the East did we hear like our team matches up with you guys with his team, and we could have beat them, and he beat all those teams?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, he's like, well, if he doesn't hit that turnaround bank shot, I'm like, well, if you guys guarded him in that situation, he probably doesn't hit that turnaround bank shot. So
What year was that they lost to the Celtics? Was that
17.
2017?
yeah, 17, because do you remember in the conference finals, Cleveland went to Boston and there was a game that they were up like 70-30 at halftime?
Is that the young Jason Tatum game?
No, that was the year before Jason Tatum. So that was
Okay.
Kyrie's last year in Cleveland.
All right, so they thought they were going to beat Cleveland that year, who Cleveland played Golden State when Golden State had KD.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So
Right.
not only that, they said they would beat the shit out of them, was his words.
But they didn't make it because they lost to the Celtics.
Dude, John Wall hits a game-winning shot in Game 6 and jumps on the scorer's table celebrating like crazy amounts, like worse than Reggie Miller when he hit the shot against Jordan in the 98 ECF.
Well, I'm looking back at this series. I mean, John Wall had a hell of a series against Boston, but
They must not have got enough out of Gortat.
I mean, just looking back at like his playoff appearances over the years, not super duper impressive. The one in 2014 when they went up against Chicago.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. I mean, he was okay then. I mean, he was playing the best of his career in 2017. He had in the second game against Boston, he had 40 points, 13 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks. I mean, he was on fire that night. The next night, has 24-8, 27-12, 21-4, 26-8, and then his last game, 18-11. So he ended up losing.
There's also a game in that series where he gives up 53 points to Isaiah Thomas. I just want to make sure we remember this.
You know what? Isaiah Thomas could
was
for
a
minute.
bucket getter for sure.
He was
Don't get
a
me
bucket
wrong.
getter, man. It's every once in a blue moon, a really short guy has a moment. JJ Barea.
You're lucky Ben's not here. He would have left the show.
Well, JJ Barea.
JJ Barea conversations. Yeah. But I'm not taking away from my T at that time because before the hip injury, he was a bucket getter. But when you are the primary defender against said guy who's dropping 53 on you, maybe you don't deserve to play in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll say that. So after that, Wall is then shortly after this conversation asked about going to Houston. This one's more funny to me than anything. So
Trash.
I already know.
I know.
Beyond trash. Like, because I'm going there thinking James going to be there, you know what I mean? Once I get traded.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But he already wants out. When I landed, I'm like, what up, woo? I'm about to land. I go do my conference. Well, I'm on my way to Atlanta for little baby birthday. I'm talking about, you want to give him a jet with me? This got traded here. I can't fuck up. I got to be on good terms. Like, I don't know how the owner is, the GM is. I don't know nothing.
Yeah,
like, it's
right.
new. This ain't like I'm in DC. Am I in DC? I'm like, hell yeah, we out.
Right.
It's my show.
Yeah.
This ain't my show over here.
Yeah, nah.
So we do that. They like, so He don't come to training camp, none of that. So, that news is all toxic. For me, I ain't playing 2 years.
Right.
Mom passed, Achilles,
Mm-hmm.
then COVID. So I'm like, I don't give a who playing, who not. I just want to hoop.
I'm just trying to get on the court.
That's it. So I did that. Went there, worked my ass off, played. I mean, we lost 20 in a row. We were trying to lose on purpose. Tanking.
Yeah.
We started stunning. Ain't Justin Patton.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He just flat out blasted Justin Patton. Poor Justin Patton. Had to hear about this on the internet.
Oh my God.
Poor Justin Patton, former Chicago Bulls draft pick, traded for the draft rights of Laurie Markkinen and Jimmy Butler. Justin Patton did nothing wrong.
No.
Poor Justin.
He's like, we're out here starting Justin Patton.
Justin Patton literally goes, I thought we were cool, John Wall.
Did he actually say that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing.
There's one thing in the clip he says, let me see if it's right here, that I really agree with, where he talks about talking to Jalen Green and Kevin Porter, and he's like, the shit you guys get away with here does not happen on a real NBA team. And that still stands a year later because those guys are still doing crazy things that no one else would let them do.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the two clips I wanted to get because there was a lot more that Wall said in that conversation, and we would just be here all day. And I learned I can make clips and put on the show, so that was even more exciting for me. But Sean, did it live up to your hopes and expectations? Hearing him say that they beat the Cavs.
That was pretty good. Yeah. Being a person who thought his favorite team could beat the Cavs, and I feel like for a while we're the only heir to that throne, and still couldn't get over the mountain. I can tell you right now with certainty, the Washington Wizards could not as well.
Yeah, so if you look at those teams that he went against in that run, being LeBron, 2018 Celtics obviously took him to 7. They were really good. 2013 Indiana Pacers with Paul George, David West, and those guys, they were awesome.
Yeah, they were. I feel like they were the closest out of any team during.
Yeah, I agree.
Peak LeBron.
Yeah, I agree. And probably the 2010 Chicago Bulls that played the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 teams I think had a shot. Not much of a shot, but I know he lost the teams he lost, 09 Magic, they were obviously.
Yeah, I mean, most of those teams you're talking about when he went to Miami. So, and then Cleveland, not his first stint in Cleveland when, he was kind of ramping his way up and, he played the Celtics and Orlando and those teams.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you guys, I know you guys aren't the biggest fans of him, as much as I am by any means, but the 07 playoffs is what was made me oh, so this hype is real. That Pistons series when he puts them on his back and scores 27 straight in that game. I'm like, oh, this is really it is real. This isn't some guy who is
He was raw talent. He was was it 87 Michael Jordan going up against the Celtics or whatever, where he dropped 60 some points on him. That's the only thing that was comparable, except LeBron actually ended up getting that team to the finals for what it's worth. I mean, they weren't ready or anything, but the rest of that cast was, God, that was awful. Not a great team.
So he is now, I don't know how this turned into this conversation. I apologize. But, if you've been keeping up with our Twitter account at 40 Minutes Network, we've been updating it daily with the tracker after their games. He's going into this game tomorrow against the Clippers 223 points away from the record.
He's close.
Josh has kind of been keeping up with it, doing the math and kind of giving a general idea. I think he's going to break in that Milwaukee game. It's a TNT game. It's prime time. I do know it's a 10 o'clock game. That part sucks for us East Coasters, but there's no way, if he's 16 points away going into the game before Milwaukee, I would not be shocked if they sat him and had him break the record on national TV.
Yeah. They're gonna when it gets closer, there's gonna be a lot of maneuvering by the teams the networks, LeBron himself, to position himself in a point to be able to do it. So, and it's very exciting that he is doing it. I mean, it's,
we never thought it would happen. We just never thought it.
We never thought it would happen. But I feel like with how he's played as well as he has played for as long as he has played, we kind of expected it. I feel like it's going to be a bummer if the Lakers don't actually make it to the playoffs after this. If this just ends up becoming a scoring title year, I'm kind of bummed out at the legacy.
Yeah, for me, Tim, you made a good point. When you start looking at the run for this, they play back-to-back nationally televised games, but one is a home game and one's an away game. And where would you rather see him break the record?
Oh, they want that at the Crypt. They want that at the Crypto Center.
And the game before that's against the Thunder. So
yeah,
not on TV.
His ankle hurts that day.
Right?
Yeah, his ankle hurts that day.
So if he doesn't do it there, or if it gets stretched out some weird way, the only other way you could look at it is, say, down the line, they play on February 23rd, they play the Warriors at LA. It doesn't go that far. He'd have to drop to 15 points a game for the next
6 weeks.
Right? Well, I don't see that happening. Yeah, I think I like Giannis and LeBron.
If you look at last night,
pretty much got to make it happen.
Yeah, I agree. If you look at last night, they have that horrible second quarter where literally they lose the quarter by 30 points. And he just goes crazy and they win. And it's alien. He's an alien. It's official. He's an alien. And we'll be covering this for the next couple of weeks till it happens. We have some plans for some potential content. So just stay attached to our socials. Keep following 48 Minutes Network, and we'll keep you posted what's going on. We did talk earlier about the one trade that has happened, guys. There are more conversations going around the league of different trade options. So I just wanted to see if you guys felt like this was smoke or fire, or actually smoke and fire are the same thing in the NBA. Smoke or coal. Let's call it smoke or coal, shall we, guys? Okay. All right.
Throw it at me.
This one's fitting considering the hat Josh is wearing. The Hornets looking to move Gordon Hayward, who is owed $31.5 million for next season, has only played 22 games this year. Who the hell is buying Gordon Hayward's contract?
2 teams.
Oh, Josh has got it in mind. Okay.
Oh, he's going.
Well, this is just off a theory of us just.
You got to get main screen here. You're main screen now.
No, I mean this is conspiracy theory at its finest. It's just based off of us talking about stuff. But
that's what we're here for, Josh.
The only 2 teams I could see taking this deal would be the Rockets or the Wizards. Because they're the 2 franchises that seem like they would do it. And the only on the outside, and I don't think it'll happen now because of the coach itself. Before I would have said the Knicks, but I almost feel like either the Hornets are stuck with him through this contract, or they're just going to have to let him go, buy him out, something.
Yeah. I think Utah would be fun, right? Because they basically said they're going to lean into the rebuild, and they're open to trading everybody but Markkanen and Walker Kessler. So
how many years does he have on his?
Next year's the last year.
Okay,
so you want to send him back to Utah, huh?
Why not?
Yeah. I kind of like it. I will say this. So the Hornets had to overpay Gordon Hayward to get, at the time, was considered to be a star player. He was a busted star player at the time, because by the time he had went to Boston and
that horrible injury,
my boy Tim and me sat down to watch the first game of the season, and then he proceeded to break his leg, and then Tim ran to the bathroom to throw up.
That actually happened.
Tim does not like anything squeamish.
Nope.
I would pay money to take him to a horror movie. I would do anything to do it just to see what your reaction would be, but I would never do that to you, man.
Thanks, buddy.
after
Thanks.
seeing that. But seriously, this is like one of those things, like, it just, did anyone think this was going to work out? Like, this was going to be like a huge move by them? Like, this was always going to be the end game with this. He was going to flame out. He wasn't going to live up to potential. He was going to be hurt half the time. And eventually someone was going to have to take a waiver on him. And that's what's going to end up happening.
Yeah. I don't see anyone buying. I mean, that's,
No.
30, nearly 32 million.
Next year, buyout market.
Yeah, like I'm sure San Antonio with the guys that we're going to talk about them here in a minute. San Antonio's got a couple guys that teams are interested in, and they're probably going to take a big buyout guy. I just don't think it's in Charlotte since they're in the same situation. So this is another one's kind of interesting. Kind of get your guys' thoughts on. Darren Wolfson of Score North says Miami has interest. The Miami Heat have interest in D'Angelo Russell, who is also an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. We talked a couple weeks ago about teams that need to blow it up, and we all said that Minnesota is definitely one of those teams. They should be building around Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert, and that's it. Like those are the guys. That pick and roll, that's your offense. Not saying it's a good idea because we know how Rudy Gobert is. He's probably the worst good player in the NBA, right? Are we okay with like he's the worst really good player? Like if that's a thing, I feel like he owns that title. But I don't buy this. We know what Heat culture is all about. It's at the point where we're sick of hearing the two words together. And I don't think Minnesota is going to be willing to take on like a Kyle Lowry in this situation, who's been worse than Russell. And truthfully, like, I think we all like things about D'Angelo Russell's game. We've talked about him quite over the years. Are we at the point yet where we just know he's just not a winning player? I mean, the Nets went to the playoffs 1 year with him, but why bring him to a team that knows is all about winning and bring in a guy who doesn't win?
Yeah, I don't think D'Lo is a change of scenery guy anymore.
Nope.
I think that ship has sailed. Him ended up, going out to Oakland for was it one season or a half season? How many?
It was it was half a year because they got Wiggins.
Half a year because they got Wiggins. They traded him away. They get Wiggins, and they're able to make Wiggins into a serviceable player. And D'Lo is out there. Only reason D'Lo is even in Minnesota is because of Cat, and he is buddies with him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the D'Lo's pinnacle of his career was the Nets. Him getting that kind of we believe Nets team with was it Kenny Atkinson? Was he the one coaching them at the time?
Kenny Atkinson, Karis LeVert was the two. Jared Allen was on that team.
Yeah. So that time's over with. I don't know. Every team has a decent point guard right now, and I don't really think he's a point guard. I think he's a 2 or a 3. Really, I don't.
He's definitely a combo guard. Yeah,
he's a combo. I don't think he's a true 1 though. I just don't see a team that he makes better, no matter what. Is there any team that you add him to that changes their identity in like a positive way?
No, and you're talking about the same kind of conversation that you were talking about Gordon Hayward, with the exception of he's about 6 or 7 years younger, but he's owed like $31.5 million this year, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty much very similar.
And he's unrestricted.
So like, who wants to touch that much money for a guy that you're not really sure what you're going to get? I mean, you're almost talking, you're borderline max deal at that point when you're getting up into that 35 plus range. The sad part is, if you look at his numbers, like his numbers just aren't bad. Like they're decent. Like they're a lot better than what you would expect when you think about sometimes how poorly he's been talked about in the past. But it's just like wherever he goes, man, it's like losing follows him. And then the sad part is I feel like his career's been wrecked ever since that incident, man.
I know.
With the locker room, man, and Swaggy P. Like ever since that happened, like he just never recovered from that.
It's true.
I agree, man. I agree. Like the honest truth, and I hate to say this because he's a really fun player to watch play basketball. I think Jalen Green has all the signs of being D'Angelo Russell. Like super exciting, can do a lot of really cool shit on the court, but has no clue how to win. Just no
what John
clue.
Wall said.
Well, that's on the organization too.
It is for sure.
Like they're just running a clown show down in Houston right now. It's not a winning team, and they're just going through the motions, getting draft picks. They don't really have any identity down there right now. So
that's why Harden wants to go back. Harden's like, wait a minute, you guys don't give a shit what I do.
Yeah,
sign me up. I'm in.
Yeah,
I can eat birthday cake all the day. I can sip some Cavassier.
He's down there like Houston's playing my style of basketball right now.
Just whoever has the ball goes to the rim. That's me.
Carefree, man. All the birthday cake I could eat.
He's like, I was doing that 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Josh, this one's for you because you are a resident Kevin Durant stan here on the show. And Kevin Durant's former teammate, maybe future teammates, as it's been discussed by Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype that the Nets are monitoring Serge Ibaka shortly after Shams reported that Milwaukee and Serge Ibaka are looking to call Steve Perry from Journey and go their separate ways. So this feels, if the Nets were to get Serge Ibaka, this is the equivalent of the Miami Heat in the Big Three era getting Eric Dampier.
Yeah, I tell you what, man,
that's a good comparison.
I was a big Serge Ibaka fan. Let me first tell people, man, the team that they had assembled in OKC with KD and Westbrook and Harden and Cephalosha and even when they got Steven Adams, and they had Serge Ibaka, like. That team was probably a year away from them just saying, like, just leave us together and we'll get you a championship. And then they started, like, picking the pieces apart. And Serge got injured. And ever since he got injured, he has not been the same guy. And they keep thinking, like, oh, he's going to be healed and he's going to come out in the court and he's going to be his old self. And he's not even been close to what he was in OKC.
In a guy like Serge Ibaka, the stuff that made him great, was going out and rebounding, the blocking, the defense, all that. And he is at that point in his career where, like, he probably just wants to kind of camp out in the corner and shoot threes, be one of those big stretch, but which he could do at one point, but like that's not what anyone would want him to do. This is like DeAndre Jordan. It's the same situation, they might be serviceable from time to time, but not when you need them to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. He was easily almost a 15 and 10 guy and, leading the league in blocks. Like he gave you like serviceable minutes, but like I'm telling you, if you look, especially the last few years, I mean, he's playing fewer minutes,
Oh, yeah. He's not even a factor in Milwaukee. That's why they're like, whatever. I mean,
he thinks out loud.
15, 16 minutes a game max. And like when he goes in, like he's a shell of himself. So this is the one time I'm like, the Nets, please do not pick this guy up. Like, you have no need.
Yeah, I feel like if they were like, we really need to have a backup big, like play small because you have Kevin Durant. And when you don't have Kevin Durant on there, if you have a small lineup, TJ Warren, since he's been back, has been surprisingly really good for you.
He's not in the bubble, but he's back.
Yeah, man. I don't think we'll ever see bubble TJ Warren again. That was like a.
I tell you what, I know this is going to sound like a silly take, but I really think that the Nets missed out on using Blake Griffin to his advantage when he was there. I know that everybody thought he was washed up, but like every time he was in the game, he gave him some serviceable minutes, and like he showed out in the playoffs when they put him in the game. And I was like, y'all should have just rode him and used him up because he ended up going to the Celtics. And was it you that made fun of the fact that wherever he went back, like they made him a tribute video?
You played 36 games for us over 2 seasons. Round of applause for Blake Griffin, everybody.
Right?
That's like if the Bulls made like a video for J.R. Smith or LaMarcus Aldridge. Like, we had a chance to draft you, LaMarcus, and we didn't.
I mean,
We
not
took
quite the
Tyrese
same.
Thomas.
But yeah, I also heard that
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I also heard that on top of the Nets that Miami and Atlanta are also the 2 teams that are in the mix of trying to get the services of Mr. Serge Ibaka.
Who's Atlanta going to trade? John Collins? It's not like they've been trying to do that for 30 years.
They're like,
that's
okay,
not
let's start
upgrade.
the trade. John Collins, and they're like, not interested.
Right? Because that's not an upgrade for the Bucks at all.
Right, yeah. I got to look again. I want to see how Joe Ingles has been playing since he's been back. I'm glad he's healthy and playing again.
Yeah.
I
didn't think he was going to come back, being how old he is.
I know, man. Good for him. So last team I want to touch on, I said earlier. So the Spurs right now, obviously being the situation they're in, and obviously wanting Wembanyama, are drawing interest for Jakob Poeltl, Doug McDermott, and Josh Richardson. And I hate to say it, one discussion was these 3 for Russell Westbrook, which I guess was turned down in the summer, but now the door is apparently open again, according to multiple reports. And that's a pretty good thing for the Lakers, too, to add on to what they did today. Does it make them a finals contender? No. But it gives them guys who are young that they can have for a couple years while they get other guys to get in there and all that money they're going to be saving. But I don't think that's going to happen. I do think these 3 will play for other NBA teams in the middle of February. I think after the trade deadline. I don't think they all go together. But Jakob Poeltl is a guy who's going to be really interesting for a lot of NBA teams. But like I said a couple weeks ago, if you trade for a center, don't trade draft picks. It doesn't work out unless you get Jared Allen.
Yeah. Well, Jakob Poeltl, not as young as his other guys. I mean, he's 27 now. So I think he's the one guy if you're looking at any of these dudes. The other guys, McDermott's a nice throw-in. He's going to get you, solid 10 points off the bench if, he's not, playing for San Antonio. What is he averaging with San Antonio right now?
I have not looked at his numbers in like weeks. I'm really bad about this.
Okay. I'm sorry I put you on the spot there.
Hold on. Keep talking. I'll look at.
But are they trying to get rid of all 3 of them at the same time? Like they're trying to.
Sean, you hit the nail on the head. Doug McDermott is literally averaging 10 points a game.
Okay, 10 points a game. So that means if he's averaging 10 points a game for the San Antonio Spurs for a playoff contender, he might get you 6.
Yeah,
Maybe.
But he's shooting 41% from 3. So
that's good. That's what he does. That's why he's there. That's what the 3rd highest collegiate scorer in history does.
Highest paid Spur.
Highest paid Spur, yeah. I like Poeltl. If I was who could use his services more right now? I mean, LA obviously could.
Clippers.
I mean, you bring him on to kind of help out, because AD historically has not liked playing the 5. However, they are great when he plays the 5. I feel like he just doesn't like doing the dirty work. Do you bring in someone like Poeltl to do that and then move Hachimura down and run LeBron wherever because he can do anything? Or you just bring him off the bench with McDermott? I mean, what? I don't know.
Yeah, because at that point you make kind of things interesting. This is the team that did win a title playing Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. They're probably the one team that could probably pull that off with having LeBron and AD.
But they also got probably last great years out of those 2 players.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right there. I agree. I don't know, man. I feel like Jakob Poeltl is definitely like his situation's so dynamic because you look at teams right now who are in the playoffs, who are playoff contenders, like actually like in this 1 through 6 in each conference. How many of those teams really need a big right now? Milwaukee doesn't, Cleveland doesn't, Brooklyn does, but I don't know if they're willing to give up assets to give him.
What about the Celtics?
That's a good one, depending on what you do.
That.
Yeah, like Time Lord.
So this is the first time ever that I'm confused on. I look at this guy, and I look at his stats, and maybe I need to watch more Spurs games to understand. When I saw what the Spurs are asking for him, like I was super confused. Like, really? Like you're asking this much for this guy who's averaging what 12 or 13 points a game and
13 and 9.
Yeah. It was like multiple first round draft picks, and
Yeah,
I was like, hold
crazy
on.
talk.
I was like, hold on a second. Like you're not Rudy Gobert, right? And Rudy Gobert apparently isn't Rudy Gobert either. But but that was the first time I was kind of shell shocked on like the Spurs are really asking this much money for this guy. Now I could potentially see them asking for like Keldon Johnson, like if they were like, "Hey, we want to trade Keldon Johnson, like
Right.
we're going to offer, we want 3 first round draft picks and da 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 da." Like I get that, but like I didn't understand this at all.
I don't have the numbers in front of me to make it happen, but putting him next to Sabonis in Sacramento could be a
Ooh.
pretty nice fit.
Yeah, I like that. I like
I
that
don't-
a lot, especially.
I'd have to figure out what the trade would look like, but the way Fox is playing, I mean, the Kings are the 3 seed in the West right now. I think that could be a good fit because I don't think, with New Orleans, they seem pretty happy with Jonas. Jonas is playing well there. They necessarily don't need a center the way they play basketball at times. So it's going to be interesting. His market's going to be interesting. I think Doug McDermott for Patrick Beverley makes a lot of sense for the Lakers. Just please take this shitty money so we can have guys that can shoot the ball. Like, that's fine. Josh Richardson is literally the guy who's traded every year. Like literally.
Every year.
Yeah, he signed a huge contract with the Heat, and since then he's been traded every season. I think if you look at his basketball reference page, it's a new team in like the year sheet every year. So, but he's not bad.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Kings roster on players because this is kind of a fascinating idea. How many pieces away do you think the Kings are from being actual contenders? I don't think they're there this year, but they're really, really, really good.
They are really good. Let's see. Well, I think you go first. You keep Sabonis, you keep Keegan Murray, you keep Fox. Would you say to be like a competent, really good NBA team, you probably need 4 above average players?
You got to keep Kevin Huerter, man.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
So you're looking at someone maybe like a young player who's unproven, who's not getting as many minutes, like Davion Mitchell. Putting him out there. What do you say about that? I think a guy like that for some guys that are competent, that can actually bring your team value, and you don't really know what he is and what kind of situation he would be in if he. I mean, they just have so many freaking guards, man. So it's especially they got Malik Monk over there, Keegan Murray. I mean, I look at this roster. Yeah, I think Davion Mitchell would probably have to be the odd man out.
I don't think they've hit their ceiling yet, especially with guys like Murray. Like he's still so young that he's ascending.
Absolutely.
He's just going to keep ascending.
I think you keep Keegan Murray though.
They will.
Yeah. I'm just saying I would move on if you got a chance to make a move this year and you want to, I mean, Harrison Barnes, what's he averaging this year? He's been pretty
awesome. Up and down. Jakob Poeltl for Davion Mitchell and Trey Lyles is something that you could look at if you're Sacramento and San Antonio. There's a $2 million cap difference in that trade between both teams. With obviously Sacramento being the ones that are taking on $2 million more. Trey Lyles expires at the end of this year.
Yeah.
And Davion Mitchell, you'll still have 2 years left of control after this year. So you can see if he can be your point guard as you try to move forward. And that increases your chances of Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And they're going to go all in with it this year because, I think Pop's like, go ahead and trade it. The only reason I'm sticking around is if we get Victor.
Yeah.
Like, I think he wants a year or two if they're able to grab him, and they're gonna have probably the best shot at him this summer.
All right. So, should we get into our full court heave because this is a fun one this week?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right. So, we try to make this segment here something where we can just have a little social fun. And so this week's topic we decided to go with was what classic NBA jerseys need to return full time. So every team, I believe this season, Nike has agreed to do a classic NBA jersey from this team's past. So we're here to talk about what needs to be here full time and come back, because what still matters, what still clicks. Like, a lot of these jerseys have to still feel like they could be in today's trends. And I think the ones we all picked are going to make a lot of sense. So Sean, we have you up first. You went with that classic Tim Hardaway, Jamal Mashburn 90s era Miami Heat uniform.
It's so clean. It conveys everything that Miami, Florida was trying to do in the late 80s, early 90s. When I think of this jersey, especially the one you see, on Jimmy Butler right now, I'm thinking about my boy Ronnie Cycli down in South Beach. So
What?
yeah, that's who I'm thinking about.
I probably think of 10 guys before I think of Ronnie Cycli.
Oh no, because I'm thinking about the beginnings of Miami Heat, man. That's what I'm thinking of. And it's not a good beginning. but that man looked good in a Heat jersey. You have to admit. But I would keep that. I think that is one of the nicest jerseys that you could bring back, and they just look absolute fire this year. I'm a huge fan of the classic ones, and I'll be honest with you, I absolutely hated the LeBron era Heat jerseys. They did so many of them, and the white Heat crap, none of that was great to me.
That was all Adidas.
That was they were like Oregon football.
I feel like that era just really ruined it. It's a shame because anytime they did bust out the old school jerseys, they looked phenomenal. So I just think they should go back to that one.
They actually wore them the other night.
Yeah, they wear them regularly this year.
Yeah, just go ahead and do it. There are some, I know we're kind of talking about, jerseys that, you could bring back and just keep them. And there's quite a few of them because I don't know if it's just the old NBA fan in me or just nostalgia or whatever, but I don't like any current rendition of a jersey, that every single team had a better jersey at one point. We're just not in a great time of original jerseys.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Ben's not here tonight, but he did submit the 80s cursive font Chicago Bulls Jordan rookie jersey. One of my all-time favorite jerseys. I completely agree. Actually, even though the white home at that era is just super plain, I really like it. I love it so much.
The George Gervin era.
Yeah.
How you going to put Jordan up there without the gold chain on, man? The gold chain sold the uni.
I was in such a rush to put the slide together, but yes, the gold chain and the dunk, it's just awesome. The bread ones, sign me up all the time. Josh, you submitted 2, and we'll allow it because this is a fun conversation. You said the Muggsy Bogues era Charlotte Hornets that they did wear a couple years ago and brought back the Hive court. Big fan of that. And
just keep it.
Yeah, just keep it. And the Barkley era Phoenix Suns, which they are wearing as a retro this season.
Right. So actually, you see why I have a hat on today, because we were talking retro day. Then I just happened to have a Charlotte Hornets retro hat, so I was like, why not throw it on for today? So another thing, especially I'm glad you brought that up, Sean, because Nike has also tried to do a rendition of some of the retro jerseys, and not necessarily bring the retro jersey back, but almost recreate it. And there's just certain uniforms that you cannot recreate. And that original
Phoenix is
that original Hornets uniform, they were the start of the starter jacket era, and the bubble coats and the hats and remember when Charlotte first started, and then they got good, and remember they were Larry Johnson and Muggsy Bogues and Alonzo Mourning and Dale Curry and like
Kendall Gill.
the Kendall Gill, like they had the white ones and they had the turquoise, and it was the first time I think for me in the NBA where a uniform went like off of a traditional color, right?
Yeah.
They were purple and turquoise and baby blue, like the colors, like they were just different. And then you had the pinstripes in them. And, everybody thinks Hornets, you think of a Hornet, you think black and yellow, or like a bee or whatnot. And they kind of like changed it up a little bit. And the logo was super hot with the bee, with the stinger out, dribbling the basketball. And it just
the best NBA
stuck,
logo
man.
of all time. It
just stuck for me. And then with the Phoenix uniforms, that uniform became kind of popular to me because us being really big Bulls fans, and that year that Barkley took Phoenix to the finals, and I think they kind of put Phoenix up on the map. Because if you remember before that, Phoenix just had the jerseys that was like Phoenix across the front. It was like written kind of funny. But they had something about that basketball that went across the jersey as the sun.
So sweet.
Just made it look slick. So, and I think, Sean, you were about to say that Phoenix tried to kind of bring that back a little bit too. They didn't actually bring back the true retro.
Yeah.
They kind of do like a rendition of it. It's just not the same.
Not the same. Both of those, the 90s were just full of such like hot colors and just like cool styles, and like everybody was just so much more. I feel like we're like moving towards a more like conservative, like drab color palette right now in our current time, and I'm not for it at all.
No, but I do want to admit though, my first choice was the Miami Heat jersey.
Okay.
And when we were talking about this earlier on text, I didn't answer first, and Sean automatically, he's like Miami Heat, and I was like, damn.
I mean, thankfully there's a lot of them that they could bring back and just keep. I mean, Charlotte should have just, Michael Jordan, I feel like when they first kind of talked about, going back to Charlotte, bringing back the Hornets and everything, and we're going to have this and we're going to have that, they should have just went back to the old logo and stuck with it. It's the best looking thing. The original logo is the best looking logo.
The court is incredible. Yeah.
Everything about that was so fun, man.
This is kind of off topic a little bit, but with me being a Louisville Cardinal fan, and I don't know a lot of people, if they're watching the show, they watch college basketball. Every now and then Louisville will go back to their throwback uniforms, and they put the Cardinal, the Duncan bird on the middle of the court. It's like the greatest thing ever.
Love it.
Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely love it. All right, well, I got to round this one up, and I think you guys already knew where I was going with this one. So, hold on. Greatest theme song of any team of all time.
Ever. How do you top it? You
don't. You simply don't.
And this is the one absolute positive. If I had to have one, this is it.
Yes. The 1990s Orlando Magic, the Penny Shack, Nick Anderson, Dennis Scott, Horace Grant.
Rollins. You said Tree before Horace.
I did.
I had to top your on a cycling comment, Sean.
That's true. I think like they have the white one in their rotation this year as their classic. Looks really cool. Bol Bol wears it.
The blue one is just so
incredible.
Great. It is
incredible.
I think it is the coolest NBA jersey of all time. The only reason I think that though is because some dudes in the 90s made it look really freaking cool and iconic, but it wasn't Scott Skiles.
No, it was not Scott Skiles. It was
wasn't Reggie Theus.
No.
Wasn't Jeff Turner.
Jeff Turner, the color commentator for the Orlando Magic now.
Yeah.
They're the one team that every one of their uniforms were sexy. Like every color was sexy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, dude. I think Charlotte has an attest to that because remember the purple with the teal pinstripe; those were cool too. But man, this is like they've brought him back a few times over the years. Like Dwight's team wore them. in the rotation for like a short time. A couple years ago, they wore the blue when the NBA first got the Nike license. Aaron Gordon, there's his era with Orlando, they wore the black ones, but it's just like the best freaking jerseys ever.
I think I will say this. Those jerseys make them more appealing as a team to me.
I agree. I totally agree, man.
Like anytime I see like Palo out there playing, I'm like, God, just put him in the old stuff. I'll get twice as excited about him. Like, just put him in the old stuff. I'll drop everything. I'm going to be a fan, but it's like they just don't want me there. They don't want it anymore. They're like, no.
Yeah, even like the post-Shaq era, they had those ones with like the stars all over them. I didn't like those. Wasn't a big fan of them.
Era.
Yeah, the Tracy McGrady, Grant Hill, Rashard Lewis era. Didn't like those much. And then, whatever remember a couple, like, was it last year? They had like that style font of those classic jerseys, but the orange. Those were terrible.
I forgot about those.
Oh God, the orange
as you should,
so
Josh.
Bad.
As you should.
So bad. I'm really tired of just teams getting away from their classic color scheme too. Like,
I agree.
There are so many teams that are like, there's no reason the Minnesota Timberwolves should have lime green jerseys.
You mean the Mountain Dew highlighter jersey?
Yeah, there's no point. Why would you need that? Like, that's not part of your. You have you have three colors. Like, I don't know.
I don't know if you remember this in our text earlier today. See, and that's the one part about Miami's uniforms that I was totally okay with. Like, if people have ever been to Miami, like when you go to South Beach, like South Beach is pink and blue and like all the flamingos.
I love those jerseys. I love those. Those are
but they're like the one team that can get away with doing a different color.
Absolutely. Yeah. The Miami Vice ones are amazing.
I didn't make a slide, but we talked about this in text earlier. Showtime Lakers, that jersey is amazing. Absolutely hated the Shaq Kobe era Lakers jerseys with the thick,
baggy.
Just too stupid. And the color,
the thick armbands. Yeah.
I do I like to an extent the current ones, but the yellow's too yellow. The more I look at it, so
the 98 jerseys were the last good ones.
Perfect.
That was the last time they wore them.
I have a Kobe one of those, and I love it.
I've been, and I'm probably going to get it this summer, but and even though he only played 10 games there, I really want a Rodman Lakers jersey. I don't 73. Know why. It just looks so cool.
Yeah. I think another one we didn't mention, Hakeem Clyde era Rockets, like when they won the championship. I always liked those.
Okay. Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah, I like those. Not so. I think the digital ones are really like cool in the sense of like the time that they came out. Not everlasting by any means, but seeing Yao in that jersey is kind of cool. Steve Francis, Coutinho Mobley. We could probably do this all day, so we probably might want to wrap this up before we go too
too deep.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap this week's edition up of the 40 Minutes Basketball Network. Thank you guys for tuning in, whether it's live or you're checking out the podcast the next day or here on the YouTube again. Thanks for tuning in. If you are watching on YouTube, just take a couple seconds to subscribe to our channel so we can keep up to date with everything going on. Please take a second to go to your podcast description of choice and give us a solid 5-star review. And if you want to support the brand, as always, go to 48minutesbasketballnetwork.merchmake.com to buy some gear. So on behalf of Sean and Josh, this is Tim Daniel. Everyone, thanks again. Have a good night.